Hey there, welcome to today's video where we're going to cover all of the absolute chaos that unfolded throughout the month of July as it relates to the real estate market here in Ocean City. If this is your first time seeing one of these videos, buckle up. We're going to cover not only where we were, where we are, but a lot of people always have questions about where we're going. And while I don't have a crystal ball, I'm going to give you my personal opinion on everything from prices to inventory, mortgage rates, and more. Here we go. All right, bear with me. Not only am I on a completely new computer, I switched from PC over to Mac, but I'm also switching from Microsoft products into Google Suite. So some of these slides may look a little bit different than you used to, but I'm working on it. So it's been, like I said, absolute chaos from June to July. So mortgage rates, as we thought, at least I thought, they were going to stay around 6%, potentially keep creeping up. They actually dropped as low as far as I could find, 5.25%, but generally they're hovering around 5.5%. Now, where they'll go, we'll go into here in a minute. But as far as inventory is concerned, we actually ended up 7% up from the month of June versus 10% up from May to June. So things slowed down a little bit, up to a total of 240 properties. Again, I want to emphasize that's still so far below where we were pre-COVID that the market is very much a long way out from any form of correction or bubble bursting or anything that you're seeing headlined everywhere in the media. Now, one thing I have here, it says overpriced, right? In big, bold, scary letters. So a lot of the inventory that has been coming, not all of it, is way overpriced. Now, there are a handful of agents who have some of these listings where it's clear to me what their tactic is. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the longer term, but they're starting off way, way, way up. And I'm not saying they're just not adjusting, right, from where we were the past few months. They're over and above even what I would have expected a few months ago for a similar property when we have comps, what you would price it at. So a lot are just out of touch. Now, if that weren't the case, for all I know, we could have actually decreased in inventory, but we are where we are. So with low days on market are still holding steady. Again, as properties are coming, the good ones that are priced well are still going. But I think in the future, depending on if some of these properties that are overpriced do have price reductions, do end up selling, that's going to show up over time. We may start to see the days on market tick up as some of those come down to earth and come down to reality, if that happens. Now, prices, again, this is the one that everybody's focused on. So we're starting to see some deceleration in the condo market. What that means, we're still up 14% from where we were last year, but that is versus 18% that we were up last month. From June of 2021 to June 2022, we're up 18%. Now from July to July, we're up 14%. So it's slowing down, but they're still increasing. So single families is still a rocket ship. That's up 34% year over year, up from 28% year over year last month. Now, condo prices, like I mentioned last month, do appear to be leveling out. We'll touch on that here in a second. So with pending sales, and I touch on this in my newsletter. If you don't get that and want it, just reach out to me. My contact info is in the description. I provide a weekly update of all this good stuff versus once a month with these video updates. But this pending home sales in July is the second lowest month that you can see in this chart, right? All the way back to June of 2019. The only month that was worse in the number of homes that went under contract was April of 2020, which is when COVID really hit. We really felt that. Obviously, it spiked in May, as you can see, but it's the second lowest month in the last 3 years. So I've been tracking week over week. We were under 10 properties under contract, hoping that maybe we would start to see that shift. But as you can see from where we've been trending back since April, this is kind of par for the course, right? As interest rates have gone up, as demand has dropped, as people have gotten a little more uncertain about the general economy and their financial situation, things have slowed down. So I do think this is relatively going to be where we are going forward. We will start to see a spike as we hit September, but spike compared to where we are now is still going to look probably more like February on this chart. So I do anticipate that we'll just be in a slower environment going forward, but sales are still happening, and I don't expect that to impact prices because inventory is still so darn low. Now, closed sales, more in line with where we were last month. So again, the previous chart is more of an indicator of what we should expect going forwards, probably between 1 and 3 months out. So I would expect that this closed sales number does drop next month. In terms of months of inventory, this is about as stable as it gets, right? From February all the way through now in the single family home market, we're hovering right around 4.5 months of inventory on the market. The number total of actual numbers for sale numbers for sale. Homes for sale is actually basically the same, hovering between 60 and 70, give or take. So it's not that homes are or aren't selling more. It's just the inventory is staying very stable, and the demand and the consumption of that, people buying, is also very stable. Now, prices are going to reflect that. So they're still creeping up. And, you see how far we've come in the past 2 years. Now, as far as days on market, again, they tend to sit a little bit longer than condos, not by much. But here we are again showing very, very good stability so far through 2022. Now that some of our older data, our older, longer days on market, are starting to fall off of this 12-month average that I run. So that's about where I expect it to be going forward as well. Now, here's where it starts to get a little bit different with the condo sector. You can see this U shape, right? From where we were in September, where things were very, very hot, inventory still going down, down, down. All of a sudden, now we have inventory, and as a result, the months of inventory going up. So I don't think this is the end of the months of inventory going up, because more condos are coming to market, but the demand and the number of people buying them right now is down. So I would expect to see this start to continue to go closer towards that 4 months of inventory. And as a reminder, if you're not sure, 6 months of inventory is generally considered average nationwide. 4.5, maybe 5 is more of what we see in Ocean City. Now, here's the interesting stuff. So last month I had said, yeah, this may be a 1 month drop back in terms of prices, but given where we've been trending with months of inventory, I think it's likely that we're starting to see prices level out in terms of the condo market, not touching single families with that nugget. So here we see another month, right? This bell curve has flattened out, and there's no arguing that. We're now looking at 3 months running of essentially the same median sale price. So what I don't want you to think is, well, that just means that it's going to come down. That curve's going to drop. That's not going to happen. What I think, and I truly believe, and I'll touch on this again here in a minute, I think we've achieved equilibrium in the condo market. We found that price threshold where some people are still actively looking to buy. It's just not nearly as many. So sellers can still get outstanding prices right now. And I don't expect that to change in the near future. Days on market, again, consistently still going down. But as I mentioned before, as some of those overpriced properties do sit and do sell eventually, if they do, then we will start to see that hit this metric. So where are we going? This is the fun stuff. So with mortgage rates, I know I mentioned, if you're coming through here from the Facebook group, Tips for Buying in OCNJ, you will have seen that I mentioned you'll be surprised by some of the numbers here. And I wasn't just talking about the condo prices leveling out. I'm talking about interest rates too. So they're expected to stay roughly around where they are for the foreseeable future, with the next Fed meeting not being until September. But talking to a couple of lenders over the past couple of days, there's actually some growing expectations in a small sector. And I want to be very clear on that. It's a small portion of experts believe that we're actually going to end the year lower than where we are, possibly as low as 4.5%. So that tells me that there is some growing confidence, not only in the economy, but the Fed's ability to rein in inflation. While we're not seeing it now, the data they usually look at is very, very backwards looking. It's not very current. Supposedly, I'm no economist, I'm no day trader, anybody who pays attention to this stuff for their job. Supposedly, the future indicators of inflation are showing that inflation will slow down. Not might, but will. So it is possible that we've seen the highest mortgage rates. Now, there are other portions of the mortgage expert population who say they're still going to go up. So who knows? But the fact that there's some confidence that that's not necessarily the case gives me some confidence in really what I would expect to see going forward. In that scenario where rates come back down, I think we stay exactly where we are. The market stays strong. We stay, this is our new normal, as I've been saying for a very long time. If that's not the case and mortgage rates have to spike, inflation continues to go out of control, we're having a very different conversation. Now, as far as inventory goes, I'm still thinking we're going to end up around 250 come the end of August. That will be up only 10 properties, only a couple percentage points from where we are now. And I still feel very strongly about that. Could end up plus or minus a few. But I think we're coming up on the time of summer where people start deciding, let's try to sell, right? Maybe we want to test the market. Maybe we're just done. This was our last hurrah. We're moving on. Kids are off to college, whatever the case is. People sell for a number of reasons. I don't want to speculate on why they might this time. It's going to be a number. But this is normally the time of year where we start to see listings coming on. I know I have a couple coming up in the next few weeks myself. So we'll see how things trend, but I would anticipate we're going to see another slow creep up through August and possibly a little bit again in September. Now for prices, again, big bold, I don't expect prices to fall, right? Inventory is still so low and there's still enough demand out there despite this traditionally being the slowest month outside of January, being the month of July. So I think we're in good shape there. And then as for days on market, it's been the same message month. And in short, if you have the opportunity to buy, this really isn't a bad time. In the case where rates do come down at the end of the year, great. You've locked in something that you can refi if the difference is wide enough and it makes sense, right? If rates end up going backwards over the next year or two, that's the goal. That's the whole date the rate, marry the house that I spoke about in a previous video. So you have the opportunity right now while demand is low to really find the right home for you. And you have the ability to negotiate, have the inspection, all that good stuff. And if you're looking to sell, right now is really going to be one of the best times before that inventory starts to come over the next few weeks and few months to not have any competition, right? There are still buyers who will jump on that first home if it's priced well, if it's marketed well, if it's staged well. So there's still very, very much an opportunity for you to sell as well. But again, why are you selling? There's a whole conversation that I would want to have with you to ensure that you're making the right decision. I've become slightly famous or infamous, I should say, for talking people out of selling rather than helping them do it, because I'm such a strong believer in not only Ocean City, but what a generational investment like this can do for you and your family. So if you want me to help you sell, you better have a very compelling reason why and what you're going to do with the proceeds of your sale going forward. So that's it for this week. You can reach me any of these ways if you have any questions or want to chat. I appreciate you checking this out and spending some time with me as always, and I'll see you on the next video.